To Technology Tap, I'm Professor J. Rod, and this episode is Chapter 2, Part 2 of our continuing series on Security Plus. Let's get into it. All right, so we're at Chapter 2, Part 2 of our series on Security Plus. So when we left off, we are at what is an attack surface. The attack surface is a total set of points where an unauthorized user or an attacker could attempt to enter or extract data from a system or network. Type of attack surface: physical, hardware ports, USB, workstations. 2, network, open ports, unsecure Wi-Fi, routers. 3, applications, API, web apps, code vulnerabilities. 4, human, social engineering, phishing, manipulation of staff. 5, supply chain, third-party software, hardware vulnerabilities. What are threat vectors? Threat vectors is the method or pathways an attacker uses to exploit a vulnerability in the attack surface. Common attack vectors by categories: vulnerable software, unpatched systems, zero-day vulnerabilities, unsupported legacy software, poor code quality or insecure design, agentless versus client-based configurations. 2, network vectors: unsecure network, lack of encryption, segmentation, open service ports, remote access, default credentials, wireless cloud or Bluetooth exploits. 3, lured-based vectors: baiting targets with malicious content, removable media, Trojan horse programs, infected documents, exploitable image files or PDF. 4, message-based vectors: phishing, vishing, smishing, instant message, social media, messages with malicious link, and chatbot exploitations. And last is supply chain vectors: compromised third-party vendors, tamper software updates or hardware, infected open source packages, mismanaged service providers. Mitigation strategies: implement a defense in depth, perform regular vulnerability assessments, apply patches and updates promptly, use network segmentation and firewalls, educate users on social media tactics, vet third-party vendors and supply chains. Vulnerable software vectors are one of the most common and dangerous threat vectors used by attackers. These vulnerabilities exist in design, code, or configurations of software and are often exploited when systems are not properly secure or updated. What are software vulnerabilities? Well, it's a weakness or flaw in a program that can be exploited to cause unintended behavior, including data breach, privilege escalations, or system compromise. Common types of vulnerable software vectors: coding flaws, including buffer overflows, interjet overflows, improper input validations, and hard-coded credentials. Design weakness: weak authentication methods, lack of encryption for sensitive data, poor session management, and insecure default settings. Unpatched or outdated software: known vulnerabilities in software not yet updated, exploited using public exploit kits, a common attack vector in ransomware botnets. 4, unsupported or end-of-life software: no longer receives security updates from the vendors. Example, Windows XP, still in use in industrial systems even though there's no updating for it. Client-based versus agentless systems: client-based are more tightly integrated but may create local vulnerabilities. Agentless rely on remote access protocol and can be misconfigured. Mitigation best practice: regularly patch and updates, secure coding practice, vulnerability management programs, penetration testing, and software inventory and control. Next, we go to network vectors. Network vectors are attack pathways that exploit vulnerabilities within a network or infrastructure. These types can organize locally or remotely and often target misconfigurations, weak encryption, or unsecure protocols. Key concept, network vector is a method through which attackers gain access to system or data by exploiting network-level vulnerabilities. Common network attack vector, remote versus local. Remote, exploit a system over a network, either internet-facing service, and local, require access to the internal network or physical machine. Unsecure network, lack of confidentiality, integrity, availability. For example, open Wi-Fi, poorly segmented internal networks. Mitigation best practice, disabled unused ports and protocols, use firewalls and segmentation, enable strong authentication or multi-factor authentication, encrypt communications, monitor network traffic, and conduct regular scans. Then there's lore-based vectors, are attack methods that rely on social engineering or temptation to trick a user into initiating an exploits. These vectors often involve malicious files, devices, or web content that appear trustworthy. A lore-based vector is an attack strategy where the threat actor using enticing content or objects to provoke user interaction that leads to system compromise. Common types of lore, removable devices, USB drop. Drop attacks, placing infected media in a visible public space. Executable files, a game or an app or installer that secretly contains malware. Document files, Word, Excel, PDF files with malicious macros or embedded script. Trojan horse, malware, programs that appear useful but contain malicious code. Macro-based lures, often office documents prompting users to enable content. Image files, image that exploit vulnerabilities in a viewer application. And scripting files like Java, PowerShell, or VBScript executing malicious code. An example that they use is the USB drop. A threat actor leaves a USB drive in an employee's break room, labeled payroll records Q2. Curious employees insert them into the workstation, executing an embedded malware payload that installs a remote access tool. Mitigation, educate staff, block USB port, and use device control management. Next, we have message-based vectors, which are attacks that exploit communication platforms to deliver malicious content or links, relying heavily on social engineering and user interaction. A message-based vector uses messages sent via digital communication channels, email, SMS, instant message to deceive a user into opening malicious attachments, clicking harmful link, or revealing sensitive information. Common message-based channels, emails, SMS, instant message, social media, and voice calls. Characteristics is impersonation. Message may mimic trusted sources. Urgency, immediate action is required. It's a classic trigger. Obfuscation, use of shortened URLs by typo squatting domains or spoof email address. A multi-stage attack, a message leads to a fake site that installs malware and collects credentials. Examples, phishing email, a user receives a message appearing to be from Microsoft 365, saying their password is expiring. The link leads to a fake login page. Smishing text, your package is delayed, click here to reschedule. The link installs spyware on the phone. Slack message, an attacker posing as a colleague sends a fake PDF file containing ransomware. And phishing call, an IT help desk call asking for multi-factor authentication, reset codes, or remote access. Defense measures, email filtering, URL filtering, user training, MFA implementation, that's multi-factor, mobile security solutions, and monitoring and reporting tools. Next, we have a supply chain attack surface, which encompasses all the systems, vendors, and processes involved in designing, developing, manufacturing, and delivering products or services, and represents a growing area of cyber risk. A supply chain attack occurs when an attacker compromises a third-party service provider, vendor, or partner to gain unauthorized access to a target organization. Instead of attacking the primary organization directly, the attacker infiltrates a trusted link in the chain. Common attack vectors, software updates, inserting malware into legitimate updates, compromise builds, injecting malicious code during application build or release cycles, Counterfeit hardware, distributing tainted network devices, USB drives, or Internet of Things components. Credential theft, attacks on vendors' credentials used for remote access or maintenance. API exploits, exploiting insecure API between partners or services. And data exfiltration, an attacker uses third-party access to quickly siphon off sensitive data. A real-world example of this is the SolarWinds attack in 2020. Threat actors compromised SolarWinds Orion software update processes, inserting a backdoor that was downloaded by 18,000 organizations, including the U.S. government. Even well-established vendors can become unintentional conduits for attack. Next is social engineering. Social engineering is the art of manipulating, influencing, or deceiving individuals to gain unauthorized access to information systems or a physical location, hacking the human instead of the technology. Core objects of social engineering: reconnaissance, unauthorized access, malware execution, and physical access. Common techniques is impersonation, pretexting, phishing, vishing, smishing, farming, waterhole attacks, and tailgating. Psychological principle exploited: authority, urgency, trust, scarcity, and fear. Social engineering prevention tactics: security awareness training, teach users to recognize manipulation tactics, phishing simulation, test employees' response to fake attack attempts, verification procedures, always confirm requests through trusted channels, email caller filtering, flag suspicious domain, block spoof phone numbers, report mechanisms, easy process to report suspected social engineering attempts. Example: an attacker calls the front desk claiming to be from IT department and urgently requesting remote access to a VP machine due to critical vulnerability. The receptionist, wanting to help and unaware of verification protocols, give access, leading to network breach. And that happened to me. They called me once asking to change somebody's password. The guy called me and said, "Hey, I'm Frank in the Chicago office. Can you change my password?" And the procedure is for me to call him back. I said, "All right, I'll call you back at the office." And he said he wasn't at the office, that he was home. So I said, "I'll call you at home." And I hung up on him, looked at the company directory, found his name, his number at home, called him at home. He didn't pick up. I didn't change the password. Turns out that they were auditing us, and I actually did a good job. Human vectors. Human vectors are cybersecurity vulnerabilities that exploit human behavior rather than technical flaws. Attackers manipulate individuals to gain access to a system, data, or physical location, often the weakest link in security. Human vectors refer to exploitation paths that rely on people, not software or hardware. They're often involved in social engineering attack and insider threats. The human vector techniques include phishing, vishing, smishing, pretexting, impersonation, tailgating, shoulder surfing, and dumpster diving. Why human vector works: attacker takes advantage of lack of awareness or training, trust in authority or colleagues, desire to be helpful, stress or urgency, and routine behavior and predictability. Here are 3 examples. Help desk scam: a caller pretends to be an executive locked out of their account. The help desk resets the password without verifying identity. That's what happened to me. Often intrusion: an attacker tailgates an employee through a locked door by carrying coffee and pretending to have lost their badge. And somebody says, "Oh yeah, open the door." Phishing success: a user clicks on an email disguised as a company survey and unknowingly installs malware. How to mitigate human vector risk: security awareness training, strict access controls, verification protocols, regular phishing tests, and clear reporting channels, which means encourage employees to report suspicious behavior promptly. Impersonation and pretexting. So impersonation and pretexting are social engineering techniques that manipulate trust and authority to deceive individuals into revealing sensitive information or granting access. Impersonation is the act of pretending to be someone else, typically a trusted individual, to gain unauthorized access. The common tactic is authority, right? Pretending to be an executive. Familiarity, claiming to be a coworker or vendor you work with. Persuasion, everybody else already approved this, I just need your okay. Urgency, they must be done in 5 minutes or the network can go down. The methods that they deliver this is in person, email or phone calls, or social media profile. Pretexting involves crafting a detailed, believable false narrative to trick the target into revealing confidential information or performing action. Characteristics are exploits trust in known roles, HR, IT, often supplemented by planted data or fake credentials, and may involve long-term setup, fake interviews, surveys, etc. Example, a fake IT audit, survey for employee engagement, pretending to be a new hire, and journalists asking for comment. Defense against impersonation, pretexting, verification protocols, least privilege principle, security awareness training, access control logs and cameras, and multi-factor authentication. Phishing and farming. Phishing and farming are two of the most common social engineering attacks used in cybersecurity. Both aim to deceive users into giving up sensitive information, but they differ in the deception is carried out. Phishing is a deceptive communication tactic that tricks a user into taking an action such as clicking a link or entering credentials on a fake website. Key characteristics: delivered via email, SMS, phone, or social media. Spoof legitimate source and may include malicious link. Type of phishing: spear phishing, target phishing aimed at a specific individual or organization. Whaling, targeting senior executive or high-level individuals. Smishing, phishing via text message. Vishing, phishing via phone. And angular phishing, using fake social media support accounts to scam victims. Farming is a technical attack that redirects users from a legitimate site to a malicious one without their knowledge. How it works: DNS poisoning, alters DNS records to send users to a fake site. Host file modifications on a local computer, redirects traffic. The user enters credentials thinking the site is real. Mitigation strategies: security awareness training, email filtering and anti-phishing tools, DNS security, antivirus, endpoint protection, use of HTTPS and SSL, and browser alerts. So example, you get a phishing email, right, saying click here to verify your direct deposit, and it links the payroll of your company, or you think it does. DNS entry for bank.com, let's say, is poison, and you go to a fake page that looks identical to the real site and you put in your credentials. Best practice: double check URLs before clicking, use multi-factor, never trust urgent requests for credentials or payments, use reputable DNS servers, and monitor DNS logs. Typo squatting exploits the human error. The attacker registers a domain that's one or two characters off from a well-known site. Instead of google.com, they might have like extra O's in Google, right? Instead of google.com, and builds on malicious or deceptive websites on it. So you go to like Google, like with extra O's, and then you go to a site that looks like Google, but it's not really Google. Then you type in your username and password, and they got it. The goal is type of squatting domains are often used to steal credentials via phishing logins, deliver malware payloads, display ads, or redirect to affiliate pages, or damage brand reputations, and trick users into giving personal or payment info. DNS strategies to use is DNS filtering and web filtering, security awareness training, register lookalike domains. Google does that. Browser security extensions, and enable HTTPS and check certificates. So quick examples: instead of apple.com, there may be a site called appleapplle.com, right? And instead of LinkedIn, it's LinkedIn with two D's, right? And instead of bankofamerica.com, it's the Bank of America, but America's misspelled. And it's a fake banking login. You think you're in Bank of America page, you put in your credentials, they already have it. Business next, we'll move on to business email compromise. This is a targeted social engineering attack where threat actors use fraudulent emails to trick individuals and organizations, typically finance or executive teams, into transferring money, sensitive data. What's the goal? To trick victims into performing unauthorized actions, wiring funds, or revealing data. Techniques is attackers impersonate trusted parties such as CEO, vendor, or business partner via email. Highly targeted, often involve research and pretexting. The victims are usually CEO, right? They go for the higher ups. Invoice fraud, right? They impersonate a vendor sending an invoice with updated banking info. Compromise, attacker hijacks a real internal email account and sends fraudulent message. Attorney impersonation, poses as legal counsel to pressure urgent confidential actions. And payroll redirections, response to updated direct deposits. Info to attacker control accounts. Actually, I had this happen. Not happen, but I wanted to change my direct deposit at one of my jobs. And I sent in one email, they ignored it. I sent another one, then they called me and they say, hey, is this you asking to change your direct deposit? I'm like, yeah, that's me. And then the lady told me, yeah, we've been getting a lot of fraud, so I had to call you. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Techniques used: email spoofing, domain impersonation, urgency and authority cues, pretexting, and farming or fake portals. Mitigation strategies: multi-factor authentication, email filtering, security awareness training, verification protocols, and segregation of duties. You see a lot of these things overlap, especially the social media ones. Example: a finance officer receives an email that appears to be from a CEO requesting a wire transfer to a vendor. The email is urgent, written professionally, and includes what looks like the vendor's new banking info. Without verifying it by phone or another channel, the officer processes the transfer, and the money is gone. Actually, this had happened with a student of mine. He told me that when his sister worked, the CEO was on vacation, and somebody impersonating him emailed his secretary and said, wire me $10,000, and she did. And then he never responded, and when he came back, she said, hey, did you get the $10,000? He goes, what $10,000? It was already too late. They took the money. The bad guys took the money. So that's a lesson to be learned. All right, that's going to do it for Security Chapter 2, Part 2 in 701 Security Plus. Hope you enjoy this topic. Next time, we will go on Chapter 3. But like I said before, we're going to be doing, we might do like the history of the floppy. I want to get into that just to take a break, just for some people who don't really, maybe are not studying Security Plus and don't want to hang on to this 16-week chapter that I've committed myself to doing. So next time we're going to do the history of the 8-inch floppy. That's coming up next on Technology Tab.